And they do it. What happens?
Right.
She conceives. All right, can you keep reading, Selena?
Yeah. Judah sent the kid by his friend, the Aldamite, to recover the pledge from the woman, but he could not find her. So he asked them in the place, "Where is the temple prostitute, the one by the roadside in Enon?" But they answered, "There has never been a temple prostitute here." He went back to Judah and told him, "I could not find her, and besides, the men of this place said that there was no temple prostitute there." "Let her keep the things," Judah replied, "otherwise we shall become a laughingstock. After all, I did send her the kid, even though you were unable to find her."
Okay, so he sends the goat, and they can't find her. And they ask, and they're like, where's the
Prostitute.
woman of the night that hangs out at this temple? And they're like, there's nobody here. And he's like, oh crap, what did I do? He's a little embarrassed, so he's like, let's just keep this on the down low and not tell anybody. And he goes back, he's like, let her keep the signet, let her keep the seal and the staff, etc. All right, can you go ahead and continue reading to the last bit here?
About 3 months later, Judah was told that his daughter-in-law, Tamar, had played the harlot and was then with child from her harlotry. "Bring her out," cried Judah. She shall be burned. But as they were bringing her out, she sent word to her father-in-law, "It is by the man to whom these things belong that I am with child. Please verify," she added, "whose seal and cord and whose staff these are." Judah recognized them and said, She's more in the right than I am, and since I did not give her to my son Shelah, but he had no further relations with her."
Okay, so she gets pregnant. 3 months later, what happens?
They see each other?
Well, they don't necessarily see each other, but somebody notices that she's pregnant, and is she married?
No.
No. So she's a whore. That's what the New Revised Standard Version says. She's a whore. And what do you do with whores? Burn them. That's what he says. Let's burn her to death. And what does she do? She says, well, do you want to know who the father is? Check out this seal. Check out this staff. This is the father. And he's like, oh, oops. That's me. Let's just go ahead and forget about the whole burning thing. What's that?
Didn't she know that it was him?
Yeah, she knew.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was just a
he
game.
was just a sneaky whore.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah. So she wins this round. They put away the stakes and the stuff they were going to use to burn her. She wins. Like, she is the hero of this story. And Tamar ends up in the genealogy of Jesus in the book of Matthew. Now, Ehrman's like, why would Matthew put Tamar in there? Well, because by contrast, Jesus' birth doesn't look all that fishy compared to what Tamar was up to, right? We've got this history of some questionable sexual activity. Well, the stuff going on with Mary and the Holy Spirit is nothing compared to that other stuff, so don't worry about Jesus, right? It makes Jesus' birth circumstances appear not all that out of the ordinary compared to the other women that's in this genealogy. Now, there's no way we can prove that that's why Matthew put this stuff in the genealogy, but it strikes me as a pretty good explanation as to why he might have put the women in there. All right. What's that?
And what would be the moral of the story in church? Like, why would they bring that up?
Well, the moral of the story for Genesis is that there's a lot of stories in Genesis about sneaky people getting the upper hand. Kind of like the clever people win sort of stories. So I think that for the author of Genesis, the moral of the story is be sneakier than the other guy and you'll come out on top. That's probably not a lesson that they want to teach today.
So basically the sneaky whores are the ones that come out on top.
For the author of Genesis, yeah. You guys probably don't hear about that biblical value very often. You guys have heard people talk about biblical values, like we need to have a society based on biblical values. They're not talking about all the values in the Bible, because there's a lot of different values in the Bible, and sneaky whores is one of the ones that's not favored by the people who talk about biblical values. According to Ehrman, Jesus, in addition to being a Messiah, a son of David, is also a new Moses. How so?
He like stresses to follow the Jewish law, or he stresses to his followers to.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty basic. Moses was given the law. Moses was given the law. Jesus gives the final interpretation of the law. The law seems to be pretty important for the author of the Gospel of Matthew. The law was given to Moses. Jesus gives the final interpretation. So he's like a new Moses, putting a capstone on the interpretation of the law. Now, Ehrman points out that in order to establish Jesus' credentials as a son of David or as a Messiah, he gives a genealogy. What is one of the ways that he establishes the credentials of Jesus as a new Moses?
He's the son of Abraham, so that means
Well, no, because everybody who's Jewish is the son of Abraham. Have you guys ever heard the story of Moses' birth? Anybody?
He gets sent down the river.
Yeah, remember who was persecuting the Israelites when Moses was born? The Egyptians, yep. Like, that's how you spell Pharaoh, right?
Yeah.
Pharaoh persecutes Israel by killing the firstborn boys. Which is why they have to do what with Moses?
They hide him in a basket.
They hide him from the Egyptians, and then they put him in a basket and send him down the river, and he's picked up by Pharaoh's daughter. And she raises him as one of their own. Or, well, she doesn't raise him, she hires Israelites to be his nanny. But for all practical purposes, he grows up as her son. But this is necessary because Pharaoh is threatening to kill the firstborn children. Now, where does this take place? Egypt. Now, where does Moses get the law? No.
Some mountain when they're like leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, I before E except after C.